Hi there, welcome. Theresa here from theresamonro.com, here with another healing. This is a live gathering, but if you're able to watch this afterwards, this will still be beneficial for you. So every now and again, Spirit comes to me and mentions, hey, this is something that the collective would really benefit from. And so it's something that I decided to hop on here really quick and help you with. If you hear a dog in the background, that's my friend Aruba. She is an English Golden Retriever. She's gorgeous and she's decided she wants to be up here for this. She belongs to my neighbor and she asked us telepathically. She's like, can I come up and hang out? She's like, cool. If she decides she wants to make an appearance, she will. So just setting the space. By the way, if you are here, and you have your water, grab that because they will provide you with healing energy for the water. They will infuse it with the rays of light. So for those of you that are new here, welcome. Those of you that have been here before, welcome back. Hit the subscribe button. Be sure to share if there's somebody that you feel like that would benefit from this healing. So we're doing a live healing today, and it's what they're bringing in is acceptance. So welcome everybody. I am setting the stage. I'm playing with some incense. So if you guys have some incense, you want to join me for some online healing, I would love that. This is a special kind of Nag Champa, and it smells really good. And the fire's moving all over the place, which usually tells me of a sign of like how much healing is going on. If the flame moves, it tells me quite a bit about, oh, we've got some stuff releasing. So awesome, welcome. I'm glad you guys are here. So yeah, so if you have your incense, go ahead and set that up. If you have your water, do you guys have your water? Those of you that are joining me late, do you guys have your water? Because they will infuse it with the rays of light. So something that has been in the collective pretty strongly at the time of this filming since yesterday was due to some astrological shifts. Now, I happen to do energy updates and let you know what's happening on a collective level. There's part of me, there's some really loud auditory distractions over to the right. People are having fun, so that's a good sign of things to come, because usually, yeah, actually I was gonna say the left is the past and the right is the future, but it's the opposite. So if you're just joining us, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. So, back to some of the collective energy, some of the things that they want to discuss with you. It's actually not even to really discuss it, but to address and help release is some of the things in the collective, like irritation and bitterness and any kind of expectations on any level. So it's about acceptance, and I wanted to leave a longer title, but I'll have to edit it when I go back. When I go live, for some reason on the phone, they only allow me to put a couple of words. But acceptance is the opposite of things like resentment and bitterness, and or those are emotions that you can experience when you're not experiencing acceptance. So these are things like, so what we're going to be releasing are all kinds of emotions around resentment, around judgment, around anger, basic irritation, all of these sorts of things, all the shoulds, woulds, coulds, because when we have that sort of thing in our lives, we tend to have some sort of anger if it doesn't come to, fruition, or if it doesn't play out in a way that we want it to. That can sometimes bring up or cause things like anger and resentment and feeling unsupported and that sort of thing. So what we're going to be releasing are things like, things not working out the way that you wanted it to, that people didn't act in a way that you wanted them to. And they're showing me this includes even for children. So if you have, they're stating if you feel like you've dropped the ball on some stuff, if they aren't doing things that you want them to do in the way that you want them to do it, or coworkers, or people that you're expectant of in any kind of way, to include, romantic partnerships and yourself. So this is going to include a lot of those sorts of expectations, irritation, resentment, bitterment, judgment, all those things that don't feel really good when you say those words. And then as we're going to be releasing that, we'll be bringing in all of the acceptance energy and the soothing energy and that sort of thing. So before we get started with that, if any of you are experiencing those levels of emotion, you'll notice that your body gets a little bit inflamed. You'll experience, your body will have a systemic kind of inflammatory response, even if it's just for a short while. So some things that I personally do that I find that help me energetically or even physically, everything's technically energy, right? But eating cucumber, drinking aloe vera juice, I will keep selenite around me, that sort of thing. That's if I want to shift it. I first acknowledge it, and then I'm like, okay, I think I'd like to cool the body down a little bit, because the energy of anger and irritation, that sort of thing, the body doesn't resonate with it, and so it thinks that it's like that it needs to release all of the adaptogens. So there's ways to cool down the body. Those are a couple of different things that would be helpful. So if you guys are ready to get started and you want to begin this quick journey, I'm glad you guys are here. And that you're part of this. Say hi and hello if you want. Let me know where you're at. I'm going to drink a little bit of water before we get started. So if you want to comment below and let me know that you're here. If these are sorts of things that you'd like to release, definitely type yes. If you're watching this afterwards, this is for the live people. If you're watching this afterwards, you can just intend it. Hi, Emily. I'm glad that you guys are here and that you could join us. So this is really great, because I've noticed that in the collective of people that watch my channel, that this is the sort of stuff that's been coming up. Also with people that are kind of around me. So it's interesting because an image of Merlin just popped up, and he says he's here, and he's like, he's gonna strike, when the lightning strikes, like there's some sort of ideas some of you are having that he wants to acknowledge, but he's gonna help shift some of this out. He's somebody that doesn't typically show up for my healing sessions. Yes, he is for real. He is the real deal. So, but if it's okay if you guys don't feel like, let me know that you're here. It is important that you state yes, at least intend yes, or say yes. Yay! Hello in Italy. That's awesome. I'm glad you guys could join. So, yeah, it's pretty fun stuff. So if you have your water, go ahead and grab that, and then we'll get started here in a second. Yes, please, for sure. So while everybody is getting settled, there is something that I've got that I've created. If you guys have seen the spray lines that are on my website, this one is specifically called Serenity. So this one's special because it is aloe vera water. It is it's a distilled version of aloe vera, and it's infused with the white ray of light of purity and peace and calmness and serenity. It's also the ray of ascension, and when you spray it, which is what I love to do, and this I'll spray it for you guys too, because intention's super powerful, you guys. You're able to receive the same thing. Hi in Germany. We happen to have, so this is also infused with selenite, the fourth ray of light, and aloe vera. So it's super, super soothing and calming. If there's also the love spray that helps, but this one's a little bit different. So you have Gabrielle and Hope that come to your side when you decide to spray this one. And again, it's on my website if you decide that you want to join and be part of that movement with the sprays. So it's an exciting thing. If you're international and you want it sent to you, just let me know so that I can figure out what the shipping will be for you. But yay! So if you're ready to get started, we're going to go ahead and bring in the rays of light now. So I've already called in the beings of light that are going to be associated with this. If I don't look, I tend to look away because the movement can be really distracting. So if you see me looking somewhere else, that's why. So, but for everybody that has said yes internally or said yes by comment, you'll be receiving these rays of light. And if you say no, it's totally fine and it will just bypass you. They're asking also for permission to be able to include these rays of light for you, for your home and the space. Specifically, some of you for the workspace in your particular area where you work, in your space where that is yours to be provided with. So we can't use this for somebody else's space, but we can use it for yours. So this is going to create a bit of a shift for that. So we are currently now aligning we're aligning you now perfectly to creation, aligning all of your chakras now. Okay. and they've provided protection for this work, so that mostly that's just so that we don't pick up on anything else and we're able to concentrate on this work without distractions. So they'll provide this space for you, for your home, and for everything that's ready to be shifted out of the way. Merlin is here helping out. We have Gabrielle and Hope are here. They're releasing, they're bringing in all of the rays of light now applicable to you for your particular healing. Metatron is here and he's cleansing all of your chakras. So Mika wants to come forward and talk about, sometimes there are like entities attracted to certain emotions, and so they can do things like trigger thoughts for you to think about old pain, and that brings up this emotion which they're attracted to. So Mikael's asking permission to be able to cleanse them. And then furthermore, what's important, so all you have to do is say, think yes, intend yes, or type yes. So he needs your permission to be able to cleanse those out. So something that's really, really important, let's see. Something that's really important is to make sure that that you say yes to this if you want, if you feel drawn towards, and they're cleansing that out now. The other thing is, it's important to cleanse out the thoughts and the beliefs that are tied around these past sorts of situations. So they're going to be bringing up they're asking for permission to cleanse any of the things that are bringing up the emotions around expectations, judgments due to expectations not being met, all these shoulds, woulds, coulds, the release of anger, the release of resentment, any heavy frequencies in your fields. It's very, very important that you state yes to tying any kind of agreements or contracts with anything that is not of the light. You must say yes now in order to be part of this work. Yes, okay. We're stating again, it's very important for those of you that are interested as you continue to receive the rays of light. It's very important for those of you present to keep your energy clear. And the fastest way that you can do that, besides keeping your energy clear, they state, is to continue to watch your thoughts. If you are catching yourself thinking negative thoughts about another human being, that is a projection, and it is important to get to the root cause of that. You can there's two ways to do this. You can work one-on-one with Theresa, or you can sign up for 30 days of light, or you can decide to get into a one-on-one healing session and ask on the angels to release whatever the cause is of those particular emotions and those thought patterns. This is why they are asking to release those old patterns and bring in the patterns of acceptance to help you to understand what it feels like to be accepted, to know what it is to accept others and their actions no matter how they behave, to be acceptance of yourself, to be acceptant of source energy, to be acceptant of anything that is discordant within you, and then to release it. This includes emotions. Because some of you, they're showing me some of you have very strong attachments to things, and some of you have things in your energy field that need to be released. That is going to take longer than this particular session. So it's important that you learn to keep your energy clear, but even more important that you learn to keep your thoughts clear. So if you catch yourself, we can intend, if you say yes or think yes or type yes, ask the angels to let you know when you are having these moments, when you are thinking something other than of the light, something other than of acceptance, something, more in alignment with, yes, I receive, yes, I love you, yes, I accept that. All of these sorts of loving everyone no matter how they behave, different from boundaries, however, they wish to shift and release this now. All you have to do is say yes. Say yes, think yes, type yes. This is for you. So if I look away, it's because it's easier for me to concentrate, but the rays of light are still coming in now for you. Some of you, it's very important because there's entities attached to, I didn't know this was going to turn into a spiritual cleanse, but I guess it's a large part of it. number of, well, not a large number, but they're saying large number. I don't feel like a large number, but they say total large number, have some entities attached due to past things. And it's sort of like little bugs, and it has to do with, again, the thinking and the emotions and things trapped in the body. So say yes to release those things. It'll be a new way of being. Some of you need a more intense clearing. If you catch yourself, the angels will say, if you say yes, the angels will help catch you when you think these things and give you an alternate emotion. So it's okay for the next couple of days if you have some anger that happens to come up around this. It's very important to give up the attachment to a human being providing a certain emotion to you, because you have the access to be able to have that internally, they say. You have the ability to access this internally at any given time, and if you are dependent on this coming from a certain human outside of you without experiencing it first, internally, it will create discord. And then this is when you have these expectations, but this person is supposed to, and I was told this would happen, and this and could, and all of that. That's when some of the anger tends to arise, and that's when there's further inflammation in the body. It's important to let these things go. It's important to let the expectations go. When you were told a timeline, when you were told of a certain human, when you were told of a certain outcome, that is because it based in you in a current certain it's a certain outcome and probability given at the time, but it is not a guarantee. That is avatar contracting. That is slightly different. So just to let you know, it's very important. So they want to release the anger and the resentment and things that didn't come to you in the way that you wanted, from the person that you wanted, from the job that you wanted. For some of you, and this is kind of a generational thing, if your parents didn't come and rescue you or didn't help you in some sort of way, especially if they allowed you to scream when you were a child and cry and that sort of thing, and you didn't have the tools to cope with that, they're installing the programs for knowing how to cope with those things now. All you have to do is think yes, type yes, say yes out loud, and they will help you to release the anger from the past, because this is an interesting topic that's coming up in the collective right now about this. So what they are wishing to bring in now, besides releasing the expectations and the should and the would and the could, oh man, auditory distractions. It's interesting when you ask people that you live around to be quiet so that you can concentrate. So I hear spirit, and so when somebody starts speaking outside, it's a distraction for me to be able to actually hear what spirit has to say. So that's when I get angry, which is perfect timing for me to be able to deal with some of this anger too, that I have around expectations, around my needs being met, when I'm like, okay, I personally respected you for the past 2 hours with your session. Now it's time for you to respect my space, and that includes auditorially as well. So yeah, that's very important. Okay, so what they're wanting to do is, with that, for those of you that are experiencing that as well, where you're respectful of somebody, now they're slamming doors downstairs. So this is perfect timing for some of that irritation. And if you feel like your space isn't respected, your beingness isn't respected, your needs aren't respected, your that sort of thing, if you're around people that are reflecting a lack of respect of that, then what I ask you to do is to please say yes, and we'll release that now. And we're going to bring in what it feels like to feel respected, to feel and know what it feels like to have our space respected, to have our needs respected, our wishes respected, and all of that. So, because it's interesting how this comes up and how irritation, you may have things that come to mind. Say yes, think yes, type yes, one of the three, intend yes, and they will help release that. So those are the things that they wish to let you go of. And an interesting thing that they are mentioning is, if somebody isn't behaving in a way that you've wanted, it has to do with a certain level of expectation of your needs being met. That's very important to be, and you deserve to have your needs met. It just sometimes, it sometimes doesn't happen with the people that you've asked. So like there's more auditory distractions over here. So it's interesting because it's somebody who demands their space to be respected by like 10 different people who stay here right now. I think there's a total of like, I think 6 people here right now, and everybody has to respect her, but she doesn't respect the space of everybody else. So it's an interesting thing when you own the house. So yeah, that I find irritating. So okay, so they're asking. See, sometimes it's important for me to show you some of the process of things that come up for me too, just to let you know. So what we've been releasing, continue to release, is these shoulds, the woulds, the coulds, the anger, the resentment, feeling unsupported, things not working out the way that you've wanted to, any level of, this is something I didn't type out, but they're mentioning any level of limitation, any level of sensitivity. We're going to release other people's stuff and emotions as well, particularly if there's somebody that are not emotionally stable and are like disturbing the people around them and they don't care. People with slightly narcissistic tendencies, we're releasing that. Any patterns or feeling karmically, because they're bringing in the 7th ray of light here, which is karmic transmutation and forgiveness. All of these patterns that possibly are past life related, are karmically related, we ask you for release for everybody watching currently now. So what they're wanting to bring in is the energy, they're continuing to do this now, the energy of acceptance, of forgiveness, of understanding where your boundaries are, of still being able to communicate what your needs are and having them be met, and to know what that feels like, to be able to communicate that with love and receive that, and for the other people to have the opportunity to respond in kind to what your needs are. They're asking me to spray the Serenity spray again. So it's an interesting one. This is the one that's, it is for sale on my website, and it is, and you're still continuing to receive the rays. So they have 2 things to say. So this one has aloe vera water, it's distilled, and it also has selenite in it, so it cools everything down. They also want to mention, if you're feeling really angry about your needs not being met, that's an internal situation, so it's very easy to send anger towards another human. It's a little bit easier to come see someone like me for healing, particularly a karmic clearing situation or session. So, and also a little bit of intuitive one-on-one work, so that we can have a little bit of a powwow session to discuss what it is you do want, so that we can move that situation out. So sometimes it's a good combination of, like, you know, 15 minutes of healing, 15 or 30 minutes of intuitive work, however it is. Get in touch with me and we'll work. But I'm hoping some of this, how are you guys feeling now? Because this is a very cooling energy. It's very calm. It's way different from like the blue ray of light. The blue ray of light is what will do a lot of the spiritual cleansing work, which some of you have been experiencing here today. So I am curious how you guys are feeling. Are you feeling any of the shifts going on now? I'm going to drink a little bit of water as we get started. It's really, really funny that we did this, because this particular person who is being so loud usually doesn't she keeps her noise to her side of the house. So it's an interesting gift to see how souls can step forward to be like, oh yeah, on a soul level, she's not conscious of it, but on a soul level can say, oh yeah, I'm here, and oh yeah, you remember you get irritated because like there's auditory distractions over here when you're trying to hear spirit. I'm gonna go reel that up real quick for you so that we're able to but you're able to so that you can release that, because yeah, it can be really strong when there's an auditory distraction when I'm trying to hear spirit. I can only multitask so much. So there's only so much I'm willing to multitask as well. Like sometimes it's not about healing so much within you, as sometimes the healing within is accepting that that's what's happening and you just need to be in a different situation. Sometimes it's about accepting the fact that a certain person can't meet your needs, and then you decide, okay, we're gonna have a little discussion about this, but if if they can't meet your needs or won't meet your needs, or they're not the person for that, then it's important to work like with me one-on-one, and I will show you how to move forward in terms of healing whatever it is that needs to be healed, and then we can show you how to move forward in terms of what it is that we can create for the future. Because it's what I've been seeing in the collective is there's so many that are just waiting for the future to arrive, or waiting for their happiness to arrive, and I'm like, but it's so much simpler than that. You get to determine that. So it's interesting to see that from Emily stating that the distractions started simultaneously. Emily, have those died down for you? Yeah, it's nice that you can hear the cooling. It's a little bit more cooling. They're showing me most of the body is starting to calm. They've brought up some past traumas, because something that that's an old past trauma of me, in terms of, you know, around boundaries. Boundaries is a first ray of light thing, the blue ray situation, a blue ray thing that gets healed. That's so if you're working with like free will choice, that's a universal law, that sort of thing. Whew, boy, it's really brought up some old trauma stuff around boundaries, on things space not being respected in the home, which is interesting because, and you guys are still receiving your healing, by the way. It doesn't come through me, so yeah, just to let you know, I bring it through your heart line so that each of you receive the healing energy from source, directly from source. But yeah, I forgot what I was going to say, so I guess it's not super important. So Emily's been feeling boundaries increase pretty significantly over recent weeks. Yeah, well, sometimes it's about voicing what your boundaries are, and you know, if you've got a pattern around, you know, something continuously happening in the home. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Then that's something that you work with me one-on-one, and I'll take you before, you know, the karmic board and the whole thing in meditation, and we can heal and resolve that. It has to do with, and it's interesting because with that work, it has to do with how much you've accepted what's happened, and how much you're willing to forgive it, so that you can release it and move on. Because it comes in percentages and in stages, which is why with healing work, it's like an onion. You've got certain stuff. I've got some clients that release like 98, 99%. And those are people that tend to be like in major spiritual teacher roles. But a lot of the rest of humanity tends to have like 30, 38%, sometimes 80%. Sometimes we'll touch base on it, but what's amazing is when you hit like 98, 99%, you won't ever experience that sort of situation anymore. When you get to something like 75, 80%, you'll see it lessening, less and less. So chances are there's been some sort of time in the past where either you were really harassing towards somebody, or that it was just a decided situation. So I'm trying to see, did any of you otherwise have, because we can speak about that, boundaries and relationships. They do want you guys to still speak up for what your needs are, and again, going back about releasing expectations about whether or not they do. However, but I'm here to assist you guys. Have you felt, you know, as we're coming back and they're slowing down, for some of you, they're going to continue to work over the next 3 days. Be sure to drink quite a bit of water. If you have your water, drink it, because you don't have to drink it right now, but over, you know, the next few hours, it's going to bring in those rays for you. I can tell you, as most of the people watching here will, like, quite a few of us will be the ones that are the more empathic ones, that are around people who aren't so sensitive to the needs of others. And there's something very good about narcissistic people, or people that are behaving narcissistic just towards you. Because I've seen that people aren't necessarily narcissistic, but they can be just towards one person, because that's the way it's being played out, is they're very good at getting their needs met. And so that's something that they'll teach an empath that's not necessarily good at doing that, you know? And you don't have to, they want you to know, like, you don't have to give up your needs in order to be happy. For those of you that are in living situations around people that you feel like your needs aren't getting met or respected, there are people that want to be around you that are willing to respect your needs. So some of you, they're going to continue working for the next few days. Be sure to drink your water. I hope this is helpful for you. And I would love to open this up for any kind of feedback for you. And if any of you are attracted to the Serenity bottle, it's interesting. It's very different from the love bottle. The love bottle you can feel, it's a little bit more motherly presence. The Serenity is more, it's more calming. But Merlin was here. He's super sweet. It's a lot of white here. So, yay. I'm glad this is helpful for some of you. Oh, I want to tell you this. Cool, Amy, I'm glad that's helpful for you. Something else I want to tell you and challenge you towards, because some of you have been using the same profile picture for the past, for as long as I've known you, and some of you it's a very heavy frequency, and some of you have done quite a bit of shifting. So I highly recommend, if you want people to have a more accurate view of who you are, choose a different profile picture for you. Something that's a higher vibe, and make sure you only place profile pictures up of you when you're in like a good mood, because it sends a subconscious message to others about who you are, where your energy's at, and that sort of thing. Some of you, it really morphs in your face. So just to let you know, that's something I've been trying to say, and I'm like, I don't want to pick up on the energy of who you were 2 years ago. I want to pick up on the energy of who you are now. Amy, you're one of them. That one, it would really benefit by picking up on. Because they just want to, they're asking for permission. Mikael's asking for permission to do like a little extra spiritual cleanup. All you have to do is think yes, type yes. And that is good. Emily says, thank you for the extra insight. You are welcome. There's 12 of you present currently. How are you guys feeling right now? Because they really want to soothe that central nervous system. They really want to soothe that. Oh, I remember now. Okay, so is that Sally? Yeah, that's kind of what I thought, because guys, I'm going to be really honest with you about something. There's quite a few people that have gotten caught up in some current romance, mind control type programming that have really gotten caught up in that. So I want to let you know, yeah, they're changing some of your thinking. I want to let you know that as you release some of that programming, when you come to work with me, a lot of that is going to be released, because it's about taking the personal responsibility about how your future moves forward. The future of healing is through manifestation about what it is that you want. You don't have to go back and label what the past was and analyze things to death, or analyze other people and make them, the bad person so that you can feel better. The absolute fastest way to heal anything is going to be through it's the fastest, sorry, I get distracted with the visuals. So the absolute fastest way to heal anything is through the one-on-one manifestation work. Some of you think that you know how to go about doing that, but I'm here to tell you that there is a reason why you are seeing so many of the manifestation classes, so many of the manifestation processes, because many of you that have been looking for a breakthrough have shown up here on purpose. So if you are looking for taking personal responsibility over your life, you can continue to work with me, and I would love to have you here. So something, if you've benefited from these, something that they have asked me to do and I am interested in doing is, because I said, well, what is it, something that would be really beneficial for the people that I'm around? And they said, well, create an online healing group with the rays of light. So if this has been beneficial to you, and if you want to, there's a couple of different options. If you've released and you're feeling better, that's absolutely fabulous. If you're looking for something at a smaller price point, purchase the Serenity bottle and I will ship it out to you same day. If you happen to want something really, really deep, that's when you sign up for 30 Days of Light or a one-on-one session with me. highly recommend the two together if you can. The other thing is I'm starting back in a new way. It's a monthly healing group. So where you get these particular healing videos and you get access to me live, and it's all a theme that Spirit tells me, okay, we need to go live right now and get your people together, and I will go live and provide healings just like this. What I'm thinking is most likely going to end up happening is that those videos, like a week later, will be posted on YouTube for people to benefit later. However, but if you're looking for more intense healing, about 3 to 4 times a month, and then we periodically get together with like card readings, and I can prescribe crystal prescriptions, which means you talk about the sort of thing that you want help with, and then I provide a crystal for you. That'd be helpful. I'd say go out and get some jade, which is helpful for many of you right now. And that sort of thing. Go check it out. Right now, there is a special. It's going to end up being $1.99 a month, but right now, if you want to be part of the introductory group, it is only $99 a month. It's on my website, theresamonroe.com, and check out the healing memberships. So if this is something, if you want me to be able to put out more of this free content, then, and if it's something that benefits you in terms of wanting more healing that is targeted for the group and what is needed, because everybody in there is going to be needing pretty much the same thing that joins, then go join that. So awesome. But checking in, does anybody have any questions before we go into doing something else? It's really funny when I start talking about what it is that would further help you, some of you start hopping off. It's like, there's always the ones that, well, it's interesting too, because there are some narcissists that show up for these healings, and they have, it's only them, you know. So there are a few that are present for that. And they also talk about how there's the balance of sometimes you could be highly empathic and still behave in narcissistic ways in some of your relationships. It isn't like I'm 100% narcissist or 100% empathic. It's typically you've got a mixture of both. So you may watch yourself in some relationships where many of you are highly empathic and giving. Empaths are givers. But everybody's got the giving and receiving going down. It's just what percentage is best for them in their particular like soul role. And then there's some relationships where you're behaving more, you know, narcissistic, where, you know, you're taking more, and it's a little bit different compared to the, you know, the give and take in relationships. And this is where the labels aren't so much important, but in terms of how you feel is what they're stating is most important in terms of your relationships, where you're giving and receiving. Where another tool they're giving you is if you feel like you've given too much and you know that you've given too much, if you're feeling any level of resentment, that either is tied to expectations around the should and the would and the could of how somebody should behave after something that you've given them, okay? Which comes up perfectly if you have had any expectations when you're, okay, I respect your boundaries, that means you're going to respect mine. That's one of them that comes up. That's something that they wish to help you with. But if you've got any level of resentment, it's usually around expectation after you've given something or you've given too much away, which is why I have to watch some of these around about how many videos I can put out, because if it isn't paying the bills, you guys aren't going to get as many videos because my energy ends up being somewhere else typically. So just to, you know, kind of let you know. But I like to help. The one thing is I'm like, just don't group me where I was, where, you know, there's some of us that shift. So about relationships, yeah, get in touch with me, Cindy. I would love to help you out if it's something that would be beneficial. I'm glad that you came across this live event and that you're grateful. Yes. Oh, cool. Amy's ordering some sprays of light and the 30 days and one-on-one and can sign up this week. That is wonderful, Amy. That's going to be an excellent investment for you because, yeah, I know. Well, that's an interesting thing around, that's something else that has come up around, Spirit's had a lot to say around, like, you know, behavior and whether or not we've been violated in that way. It's interesting. It's another form of like power lessons around, because it's ironic because people that are in their power never have that experience. People that are in a place of vulnerability in terms of, because this is huge, Sally, for what's coming up in the female collective altogether around that level of anger around that, which is why showing up and doing having one-to-one healing sessions or having 30 days of light and setting your intention to release that experience too, because that'll include karmic clearing for you and with the other person to be able to forgive the experience of what happened. You also help heal the collective when you heal that within yourself, because typically what has happened in that kind of exchange is that there's been an abuse of power where somebody's taken, where it's actually that person's job to give, if they're empowered, and then the person whose job it is to receive has actually had something kind of taken from them. You're seen, and what's really ironic is that it happens to women that have something discordant in their field around disempowerment. And what is ironic is that the masculine being that does the taking, or even this happens with females too that do this, but the person that's doing the taking sees the person that they're taken from as being more powerful than them. So sometimes this will be a bit of a perception shift where you're like, oh, this person didn't know how to ask for what they wanted. Interesting. Because all that rage that comes up, all that anger, all that resentment and things that are in your fields are yours to own. You can be mad at that person, but I'm here to tell you it's sitting around in your energy fields. So it's something for you to heal. That love rose spray, Sally, would be super, super helpful for you, because that's going to bring in more of the feminine. It's going to, when you use it, it sometimes can bring up anger around being feminine, anger around that, but it's good because it's going to help release it and cool the body, and move that out. If you're interested in the healing membership, I don't know if that'll come up around love, because we just did that with the past, with the video that I think was on Friday. But if you need something individually, I could help you with that situation. The one thing we don't do is relive the story. That there's other people that do that, but I could work with you with what it is that's coming up and help release that. I don't need to hear the story to know what it is. Sometimes when you tell the story too, you can get really highly charged and your body doesn't want to let go of what it is. But if you show up really calm and meditate before the session, I can see it, and I'm not picking up on all your highly charged traumas, and I'm able to stay, you know, neutralized, and it'll be easier to release some of that for you, because yeah, that's really big, and it's something that's coming up for the collective. But the beautiful thing is when you're able to forgive the person who did it, whether it was you know, soul contract or not, because sometimes it is contracted, sometimes it's not. You know, people who keep it black and white and say, well, it's always this, that, or the other, and I'm just like, no, actually it's not, because we've got the universal law of free will choice here. Not everything's dictated. But the other thing is that Spirit wants to acknowledge that they're really sorry that that happened to you, to offer you emotional support. So they have the third ray of light supporting you now with the feminine to help you to understand that what has happened to you was not your fault in any kind of way. And they wish, if you say yes, they want to work with you to be able to help you with some of the anger that has come up and the powerlessness, because that's definitely a Blu-ray lesson for sure. So yeah, a lot of that'll come up over the collective. So I'm just reading your comments, and I'd love to hear about figuring out that balance of giving in your work, do service work as well, and a lot of the boundary issues I have come up from feeling I give too much. Well, then it sounds like you already know where your boundaries are at, Emily, and it's just important to pay attention to them, because if you're expecting somebody else to know where your boundaries are at, I think that's going to be kind of uncomfortable for a while. So what they're stating right now is once you shift that and take responsibility for where your boundaries are at and mentioning them and how you handle them, because we can work one-on-one on how to handle your boundaries. If you can, because that's something that's going to be involved in the healing membership, is like sometimes some Q&A for being able to ask questions like this and get some more specific answers. But around, it sounds like you already know where your boundaries are at. It's just about how you're going to go about you know, handling them, for sure. So yeah, Amy, when Amy's saying she's feeling stuck in her household, if you are stuck, it is up to you to move that. You have to change your thinking around it, because with you especially, you've got a lot of like, they show me a lot of Taurus thinking, a lot of like stubbornness, and I'm not going to change, and I'm not the problem, blah blah blah. But it is, and you may not even realize that this is. They're telling me that you say, that's not me, that's my mom, but in order to keep from looking at your own personal responsibility of what it is you're co-creating within your relationships, because this is happening all the way around you. So when you're ready to work with me one-on-one, some of the passive ways to do this is, if you show up for like 30 days of healing, you can just say, okay, I wish to, because you get to set the intention every single day for what it is you want to heal. You can change it in any given minute if you want, and they'll still provide healing for you. Then it's a little bit easier. If you work with me one-on-one, you're going to have to take like mental and physical responsibility for what it is that's happened. Something's going to come up and I'm going to call you on it, and then it's a little bit more confrontational. So it's kind of up to you, and I'm hearing that confrontation kind of isn't something that you necessarily need. So yeah, Sally's saying she's feeling emotional about it and felt heat in a sense. That's Mikhail moving some of the old energies out, typically. So yeah, that's cool that you can still feel it working. Just make sure, because there's one particular person that is in here right now that comes in and feeds off of feminine energy, and Samo, it's super important that you make sure that you are looking within in terms of what your own feminine energy is, because there's wounding there. Showing up to be around a bunch of females to feed off of that is not going to be tolerated for much longer on this planet. You've got to take responsibility for your own energy exchange and where you're getting it from, and stop showing up for things just for free with every healer when you have the ability to make that connection yourself and to make enough money to pay for it. That is something that is that is a really strong cycle for you. So you know, it's irritating to some of the healers you're working around that you are going around and like sampling. It's like, I'll irritate this one just enough and move on to another one, irritate this one just enough and move on to another one. Like you can't keep doing that with your healers, because some of us are going to kick you out. But Sally, I hear you on being emotional about it. It's going to bring some emotions up, but that's okay, because they're just coming up to be released. So what happens is you sit with it, you acknowledge it, you don't have to relive it, but you sit with the emotions and decide what it is you want to do. So again, with those of you, there's a couple of you that show up that feel powerless, and that sometimes happens when what it is that you're trying isn't working. And you keep trying the same level of thinking and it isn't working. That's what stuck will get you. You got to try something completely different. Take responsibility for what it is you've created. Take responsibility for your own level of stuckness, and then ask for help, and then be willing to receive it. And you get to be choosy about who it is that you go to, but just be willing to receive what it is that they tell you. So I hope this is super helpful for you guys. And this is cool. Thanks for showing up. If you want to know what it's like to experience these more often, because I'm thinking that the live ones might be happening more often within this membership group, and then later on they'll be published out here for later. So if you like interacting with me live, you know, I don't know, it may still happen periodically. We'll see. It's fun to connect with you guys. But the one thing that you don't get to bring up is all the twin flame programming. If you want help with moving your mindset on some of that mind control around and the dogma that you've accepted because you're stuck and you want to move into a direction of liberation and freedom and experience all the things that you want, I can help you shift that. But if you're stuck in the same level of thinking over and over and over, and you're still following me 2 years later, some of you 3 years later, then that's really frustrating for the person that's, you know, that feels heavy. So awesome. This is for some of you that are kind of curious what's happened with my work. I've always worked with the rays of light. Rays of light are source energy. You put them through a prism, and they separate into all the different colors. So some of you have seen like yellow light and white light and blue light, and have worked with some of that, and you've heard people talk about that. They're haphazardly working with the rays of light, but don't necessarily know what it is that they are working with. So I'm born with the knowledge of all these rays that we have access to, and they have angels assigned and archangels assigned and universal laws and things like that. This is what I've worked with since I was little. It's a knowledge I was born with. We came in during the time of Christ with it. We came in during the time of Lord Melchizedek with it, and now there's about 100 of us that are back. There's only about 10 teaching online right now. The rest are kind of underground. In terms of that, I'm pretty much the only one that is putting this information out so publicly, and also giving you options to be able to work with like the physical product. Others are doing it in a different way and using different vocabulary, because this information has been kept private and secret and not something that's allowed to be shared publicly, because there are people that will abuse it. So that's why you know, the class is kept at a certain price. If you want to know everything I know about the rays of light, there is that course. And they have the price set at a reason. It's for people that are only going to be using it for reasons of the light. There have been a couple people that have attempted. It's interesting because there's a couple people that have attempted to take it and either can't finish the video because the light's too much, or they can't finish the course, and then they show up for the 12th ray and they're like, oh, I finished. And I'm like, yeah, we've got your logins and you didn't finish half the course. So they just want to get out there and say that they have the knowledge of the rays of light. So anyway, it's something that you embody. It's a way of life. So I just teach you the different tools to be able to use the rays of light in your life for personal transformation. They had me for a few months working with the specific like divine counterpart twin flame community. It was a short contract, but now the main thing is they're like, you have a far wider audience that need your help now. There are some people that will stay working with one particular audience their entire life. That is okay, kudos to them, but please don't put me in a box. They've said, okay, we need you to expand and we need you to let go of this label, because here's what's happening. So sometimes light programs get hijacked. It's sort of like with light grids on the planet. There's been several different ones and they get hijacked. So to use it to be able to control parts of humanity, and unfortunately, like the whole twin flame community has been part of that. They've been hijacked in terms of mind control and keeping you stuck and keeping you in a lower frequency of suffering. And that sort of thing. So, and I don't want to scare you with it, but if this message resonates with you and you want to, you know, talk more about it, we possibly can do that. But it isn't something I typically discuss. It's more fun to discuss where it is we're going, which is working with the rays of light, helping you to heal, because it can be highly transformative, and I don't know, I really enjoy it. So thanks, you guys. Let me check here, see if there's any more. Yes. So lots of thank yous. You're very welcome. Thank you for your presence. And if you feel my channel would be beneficial to somebody, please let me know. Please feel free to share this with them. Give it some likes and some subscribes. That way you'll know if I decide to come on live here haphazardly to do so. If you feel drawn to work with me one-on-one, I would love that. So awesome. Sending you lots of love. Bye.